All right, Jamie, let's take a look at your annotated bibliography. I'm just going to go down and take a look at your citations, first of all. We have an article by Kate Brideau. Looks like a useful article, fairly recent. Good choice. And it's cited properly as well. Then we have a second article by Jessica Handloff, Memes in Digital Culture. Again, this is a minor issue, but titles of journals go in italics. And then your last article is by Sarah Cannizzaro. And again, titles of journals have to go in italics. Also, your citations are not in alphabetical order. An MLA works cited page needs to be in alphabetical order. So other than that, this is very nicely done. Let's go back up and look at your research question. Which features of a meme make it attractive to its consumers? It's interesting. I like it. It's nice and clearly stated, but I don't know if I understand what it is you're trying to get at. In other words, who is the audience for this question? Who are you pointing out features of memes to? And why would they be interested in why it's attractive to its consumers? So something to consider. I don't really see the audience that this research question is being asked to. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at your annotations. So really interesting looking article focusing specifically on the impact font. I had never heard of this before. It's really a unique way of looking at how memes are kind of, what's the right word, attractive to certain people. And you go into a number of important quotes that you pull from it. Remember, you have to put a page number when you provide a quote. And you talk about the constructive pressure of constraints to force people to use it in a creative way. Really interesting idea. And then you ask this question here, which seems like a really important question to ask. This is a nice job of coming to terms with this article and mining it for important ideas. My only complaint is that your plan for it is very, very short. You give yourself 2 sentences and you don't zero in on the ideas you've highlighted. You talk about the constraints, you talk about a couple of other, the pressure of constraints. Why not talk about what you plan on doing with that down here? You're coming to terms with it very, very well. Your plan for it, though, is pretty vague. Let's move on to the next source. So much like the previous annotation, you're doing a really nice job of mining this for ideas. You provide this quote here, which is revealing. You say, Schiffman offers an intriguing 6-pack of features. So we have this idea of viral success. There's an interesting idea. Emotional response, recognition, modalities, and motivations of distribution. There's just so much that you could do with these ideas. Really good job of pulling them from this article. You also come up with the idea of, you identify the idea of globalization and politicization of memes. And you talk about overcoming the language barriers and translation challenges. This is really, really nicely done. But again, you don't really go into much depth into what you could do. You don't mention any of these key terms and what you could potentially do with them, aside from overcoming language barriers and translation challenges. You don't say how you would forward these ideas or counter these ideas. You're not being specific enough in your plans. Let's look at your last article. So this is very nicely done. This is what I was not seeing in the other annotations. You say, the reason I picked this article is because I can use it as one of my support pillars for my previous articles. I can use this concept of evolution to show that it lasted for many years because it kept changing over time, interpreted and changed by its consumers. If not for the ability to change the meaning of the meme, it wouldn't attract consumers and proceed to fade away. That seems like a really useful idea. And here's another quote that I think is really useful. This idea of a successful meme replicator and copying fidelity. These are really interesting, useful ideas. And I'm glad to see that you're talking about in a little more focused way than the other. But again, you're still being a little bit too vague about the details of your plan. So these are three really promising looking articles. You are definitely ready to start writing your paper. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. And don't forget to check your grade in the grade book.